Namaskar. Welcome to another episode of Editorial. Today I have a slightly longish editorial. I will try not to bore you. But I have a slightly longish editorial because I have got three topics that I want to talk to you about. The first topic is a statement that Justice Chandrachud made in one of the lectures he was delivering, where he said that fake news is on the rise and need to ensure unbiased press. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about that in detail. The second, I want to talk about the Narayan Rane arrest in Maharashtra and about Mr. Uddhav Thackeray's decision to arrest Narayan Rane. I want to talk about that. I have not spoken about it, so let's spend 5 minutes on that. And the last topic I want to talk about is about Joe Biden's statement. Joe Biden's statement where he said that the former president, that is Trump, had made a deal with Taliban where US troops would be pulled out by the 1st of May and the Taliban can continue to attack. The Taliban can continue to attack, but Baba, not to attack US forces. This was the deal that was made. How fair is that? Let's discuss these three issues. Let's get right into the show. So this morning, Saturday morning, Justice Chandrachud, while delivering the 6th Chief Justice M.C. Chagla Memorial Lecture, made a few important statements. Now, he was making the statements in the backdrop of the fact that a lot of experts, a lot of journalists said that, there is the government were fudging figures regarding COVID, the deaths and infection and so on and so forth. So the backdrop of his lecture was that, and based on this backdrop, he made a few statements. And I'm going to take you through 5 of that very important statements that he made. And after that, we will get into the analysis. The first most important statement that he made was public intellectuals have a duty to expose the lies of the state. He said that in a democratic country, it is important to hold governments responsible and guard against falsehood, false narrative, and fake news. First important statement he made. We will come back to this. Let's go to the next one. The next statement he made is that one cannot rely on the state of truth. Totalitarian governments are known for their constant reliance on falsehood to consolidate power. We see there is an increasing trend among countries around the world to manipulate COVID-19 data. Second most important statement he made. Let us go to the third. The phenomena of fake news is one on the rise. The WHO, that is World Health Organization, recognizing this during the COVID pandemic, calling it informatic. Human beings have a tendency to get attracted to sensational news, which are often based on falsehood. Third statement he made. Fourth was, as early as February last year, the pandemic was beginning to spread throughout the world. The WHO warned of a wave of fake news and misinformation emerging on social media, including deliberate attempts to disseminate wrong information. Statement fourth. Last statement. Justice Chandrachud acknowledged the social media platforms like Twitter and Facebook should be held responsible for false content, but said people should be vigilant and crucially be open to reading about, debating and perhaps even accepting a different opinion. This, I thought, was the most important statement he made. Chalo, we have 5 statements. Now let's get into the analysis of this. I completely agree to what he says, for starters. I agree to what Justice Chandrachud said, so there is no debate on that. But there are a few questions that comes to mind. You see, he spoke about the duty of every intellectual or journalist or people who speak, people who comment, duty to expose the lies of the state. He spoke about that and I completely agree to him. But my submission is, what protection is the judiciary giving these people who are exposing the lies? What protection? Vinod Dua almost fought his sedition case, Desha Droha case against him for a year. For a year. And there are so many other people who are fighting court cases. Why? Because they wanted to expose the lies of the government, or lies of the state, as it is called. Which court gave anybody the protection? It is then the job of the society to protect such people who are exposing the lies of the government, isn't it? Why don't we see it that way? Okay, that's my point number one. My point number two. This entire business about fake news. Now, I am saying, I agree to what he says, that, a lot of numbers may not be correct, a lot of numbers may be false, a lot of numbers that were being said were wrong, and a lot of people believed sensational news. We saw that in the case of Coronil, didn't we? A lot of people believed sensational news. There were a lot of people in this country who went out and said that have cow urine and everything will be sorted out. A lot of people believed in that. Sad, but they did. Fact. So, what he says is absolutely correct. But the point is, how do we create? Did we create a system that actually figures out fake news or distinguishes between fake news and real news? Is there a system in place? Unfortunately, it is the enforcement bodies, it is the government that decide what is fake news and what is real news. So the question of exposing the government and then the government deciding whether that is fake news or real news, isn't that contradicting each other? If you take the same example, if the government says 100 people died due to COVID, and if one of the channels says, no, we have proof that 200 people died of COVID, the channel and the editor will be put behind bars. Because the channel and the editor will be termed as fake news, spreading fake news during pandemic. The person will be put behind bars. So what is this duty of exposing the lies of the state? How does that work? Second thing is, you see how easily we blame a Facebook and a Twitter. कुछ भी होता है, Facebook and Twitter is responsible. Are we saying that Facebook and Twitter should edit the narrative of our country? Are we saying that Twitter and Facebook should be editing the narrative of our politicians, of our journalists, of our intellectuals? Are we saying that? That it is Twitter who is going to decide what the country will speak, who will speak, how much he will speak and what he will speak? Is Twitter going to decide that? Is Facebook going to decide that? They didn't want to decide it. Our country is forcing them to decide. So if they don't do anything, then they are called and there are cases against them. If they edit somebody, again then parliamentary committee and that committee and this committee calls them, and the few days back they stopped some BJP accounts, or they blocked some BJP accounts and they stopped some BJP tweets. They were called by parliamentary committee, they were threatened. Okay, a few days back, a day or two back, Rahul Gandhi's account was blocked. The Congress created problem. Finally, what are we trying to do? We are trying to blame Twitter and Facebook, and we are saying that Twitter and Facebook will decide the narrative that India will be displaying in front of the world. How fair is that? Why can't we have our own council which is not reporting to the government, a autonomous council that decides fake news and not fake news? Why don't we have that? Why don't we have a set of senior journalists, judges, group of intellectuals? Why don't we have a mix of these people who judges what is fake news and what is not? Most importantly, why don't we create awareness among the people of India, and which is so important, create awareness among people of India about how to distinguish between fake news and real news. It is not rocket science, by the way. It is not rocket science. It is just a small research that people have to do and use a little common sense for people to identify what is fake news and what is real news. So this is the point I was trying to make, and this is my topic number one. Let's get into topic number two. Union Minister Narayan Rane made a statement. He said, if the Chief Minister of Maharashtra, that is Uddhav Thackeray, doesn't know the year in which India got independent, and if I was there when he was saying that, I would have slapped him.
त्याविषयी नाही काय किती वर्ष आली देशाला संतुलन अरे हिरक महोत्सव काय हे असतो तर कानाखाली चढवली
To which, of course, Shiva Sena, the party, got very upset. A lot of party men vandalized Bharatiya Janata Party offices across Maharashtra, and a lot of things happened. And Narayan Rane was detained. Okay. Now, Narayan Rane after that made a statement saying that, listen, you know what, you are in Maharashtra, you are Maharashtra Chief Minister, you can detain me in Maharashtra, mind you, I am in the center, I have my own powers there. I can also create a lot of problems for you. Assuming he was meaning that he can create problems with ED and CBI and others. This is what I presume he is saying. I mean, end of the day, what is our enforcement agencies? What do these politicians think that are enforcement agencies? Puppets in their hand? Some asking the police to arrest somebody, some saying that, okay, you are in the state, you are using police, I will use CBI, I will use ED. I want to give you a small piece of information. You know, in monarchy, it is always called as a Royal Air Force, Royal Army, the Queen's Army, the Queen's Police, the Queen's that, the Queen's this, or the King's that, the King's this. You know, those were in royal times. Think about it, we are going back there. We are going back there. Because now this is the center's ED, center's CBI, center's that, state police, state SRPF, whatever. It is becoming, now the enforcement bodies are belonging to the government of that particular state or the country. It is becoming personal properties. Constitutional positions are changing into monarchs. इसलिए तो बोल रहे हैं ना कि भाई ए सेंटर में अब मैं दिखाता हूँ, वो स्टेट में अब मैं दिखाता हूँ. What? What are we talking about here? So it's kind of shocking. I don't have much to say about this, but it is kind of shocking. It is kind of shocking the way enforcement agencies, the way law enforcement agencies are used as puppets by these political parties and politicians per se. Somewhere down the line, India should remember before voting in 2024. Because if these people are engaged only to play politics between the state, center, one party, another party and all that, your protection, your security is at threat. Remember that. Joe Biden made a statement. He was addressing a press conference in United States, and he made a statement which I found appalling. You see, he said when a Fox News correspondent asked him as to would he hold himself responsible for the death, the US Marines that were bombed in Kabul and that were killed in Kabul, would he be, will he be taking the responsibility? He said, yes, I will be taking the responsibility. And he said the former president, he said, had made a deal with Taliban where US troops would be pulled out by May 1st. He said, in return, Taliban will continue to attack others. Mind you, Taliban will continue to attack and kill others, but they will not attack US forces. So he said this was the deal that was done, but unfortunately they didn't keep up to their deal.
Of late. But here's the deal. You know, I wish you'd one day say these things. You know as well as I do that the former president made a deal with the Taliban that he would get all American forces out of Afghanistan by May 1. In return, the commitment was made, and that was a year before. In return, he was given a commitment that the Taliban would continue to attack others, but would not attack any American forces.
I mean, this shows that the empathy that United States has for the lives of other people except for their own. They absolutely have no regards for lives, a Afghani life or a Turkish life or an Iranian life or a Pakistani life or an Indian life. They have no regards. They are bothered about their own life, their own people, and the safety of their people. And that's exactly what he said. He said in an open press conference that they will continue to attack others, but apne logon ko kuch nahi karega. Our people they will not touch. You see, I am not saying that that United States should be bothered about everybody's life. That is their personal upbringing, their understanding. But what I am saying is this mess. United States is equally responsible for this mess being created. United States at some level is responsible for the ISI being created. United States is responsible for what happened in Iraq. United States is responsible to a large extent to what happened in Afghanistan. They went when it was convenient. They intervened when it was convenient. They deployed their forces when it was convenient. They used force when it was convenient. They killed people when it was convenient. And when they decided now they don't want anything, they went back. My problem is United States interferes in others' business at a drop of a hat. At a drop of a hat, and this entire globe does not have the strength to even ask a question, let alone object or let alone stop them from doing it. We can't even ask a question. A lot of us hold their hands and walk around in events. We don't even have the guts to ask them a question, and this is the kind of regard that they give for human lives other than their own. And that's the sad part of the story. Till I see you next time. Namaskar.